am I supposed to edit that, y'all? I give you here's the pen and the pad, bro. Here's the pen and the pad, bro. Take it, bro. How am I supposed to maneuver that, huh? Without making the pillar sound stupid, bro. How am I supposed to maneuver that, bro?
The pillars didn't care about the belts all along. They just wanted to prove that they could beat the CrashOut Club.
You hear how stupid that sounds? What am I supposed to do about that, bro? How am I supposed to maneuver that, bro?
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
I am dead inside.
Back for more CKW entertainment. Owen Dallas already notably not a fan of referee Otis's antics, and he takes him out to start off the match and doesn't end there. Owen Dallas going immediately after Curtis King in this one-on-one bout. Otis finally back up, ready to watch some action, while Owen Dallas takes care of Curtis King outside of the ring.
This is gonna be bad. This is gonna be really bad.
But he is not done there. The CrashOut Club member is absolutely handing it to Curtis King, but with due time, Curtis finds his win, and now it's Curtis King on the strike. Has him where he wants him in the middle of the ring. Goes, hits him with the low sweep high kick. Curtis King feeling confident, feeling good off of the top rope.
He's really
Eyes him up, has him ready, and kiss thy boot. Curtis King gets the victory over Owen Dallas to hopefully calm him down in the coming weeks ahead. But next up is Victor Kruger, who sees himself in the squared circle up against Curtis's Terminus teammate, Drip Messiah. Drip Messiah looking for a very much needed victory here against the spooky Victor Kruger, but Victor Kruger wasting no time with his size, trying to get his win column up. Takes care of business against Drip Messiah in this tables match. It looked close. It looked like Drip was going to get the slip and get the win, but Victor Kruger fixes things quickly, gets him into his position, and handles business. Not already. Not like this, Drip. Drip! As Victor Kruger gets the monumental win. But immediately after that, we have a little bit of a controversy as you see El Flapjack Larry jump to the attack of the FRO. Now, El Flapjack Larry had to miss some time because he was attacked in the CKW parking lot. He was in intensive care, but was healthy enough to make sure he laid out the FRO in this attack before the match against Ace Rodriguez. The reason behind El Flapjack Larry's attack on Fro is he believes he orchestrated the attack. We're gonna get into that more later, but the FRO would not flinch. Finally taking control and getting things back in order. The FRO looking monstrous against a climbing Ace Rodriguez. But Ace Rodriguez would find another notch as he turns things back around towards him, hitting him with a crazy Hurricane Rana, setting him up for the frog splash off the top rope.
He's trying again.
But Ace is not done there. From outside of the ring, a Hurricane Rana one more time. Can he get the job done? 1, 2, 3, and the FRO screwed over successfully by El Flapjack Larry. And you can see Fro not happy with the result, interrupting his possibility at getting a chance at Rick Blade for the belt here in the future. The FRO wasting no time to go right back to a cocky El Flapjack Larry, who is full of emotions, and so is Fro, and the brawl is on. Referee Otis trying to get in between it, but he's not enough, and eventually the goons are out here to try and interrupt it, but they're not strong enough to get in between El Flapjack Larry and the FRO. This one is going to get interesting. Speaking of interesting, our CKW Liberty champion Rick Blade is in the ring ready to face off against Kyrie Nixon, who is our current champion. But speaking of champion, Magic, who is next in line to get a chance at the belt, wastes no time to attack Kyrie Nixon before the match. Therefore, the referee ultimately calling Rick Blade's match off with Kyrie Nixon, and it has become an onslaught from Magic attacking the champion.
It's club right there. Beautiful reverse.
Even though it started off all Magic, the champion would get the last laugh, ending this brawl as they were both escorted out of the ring. What a way to start off the first week. But now we move to week 2 as we see Dean McCarthy looking to get himself back into the championship fold. An already 2-time champion taking on Game Hunter, who has had some very important wins as of late, and a win against a former champion could definitely put him in the conversation for Kyrie Nixon or whoever the future champ may be. And he is utterly taking control of this match against Dean McCarthy. Dean having problems all the way throughout in this match as Game Hunter takes complete advantage of the former champ.
Beats to the bottom. Shot after shot after shot. Beats to the bottom.
But don't sleep on Dean McCarthy as he finally sets him up for the 2-foot stomp.
Double stomp to the back of the neck. That hit.
Going for a 3 count, stops at the 2. That might have been the only chance that Dean might have had in this one, as Game Hunter gets him right where he needs him and hits him with a pray for you off the top rope, ending the match. And Dean McCarthy now has to go back to the drawing board. But before he could even think about the loss, his former pretty petty teammate, his partner in crime, Silus Flair, jumps him in the middle of the ring as you see the cage lowered down. He wants Dean to have nowhere to run. Fresh off of a match against Game on a hard-fought match, Silus Flair taking complete advantage of the weakened Dean McCarthy as he gets the final laugh. But it's unfortunate for fans across the CKW as we see an not so pretty ending to one of the greatest tag teams in the history of the company. We'll see where this goes going forward. But Bayley, who is back and ready to get into action, faces off against the new Alexander the Great, who will be making his debut in this match against Bayley. Both baby faces looking to make names for themselves, as Bayley, though he has had some great moments in the CKW, has seen himself teetering between the middle and the end of the power rankings as of late, and a win against the newbie would definitely put him in the right direction. But Alexander the Great showing why he has earned his name, and he gets the 1-2-3 against Bayley, but more shenanigans ensue as the FRO interrupts the match, takes out Alexander the Great, but more importantly, injuring Bayley, who was a known confidant of El Flapjack Larry from his attack the previous week. And you've got to imagine that this has got to be connected, but we're going to get more news ahead on Bayley as he is possibly going to be missing some time. But speaking of attacks, Magic now sees himself getting some in-ring action after forcing his way into a match last week, attacking Kyrie Nixon before his match, and now Magic taking on the champions cohort in Michael Te'o in one-on-one action. We are weeks away from Magic challenging the CKW World Heavyweight Champion for the belt, and a big win here against his own teammate in Michael Te'o could definitely start to have Kyrie Nixon thinking. But right now, Michael Te'o doing everything he can as the enforcer to get the better of Magic, but it might be too little too late. Magic having him in the position that he needs him, goes for the monstrous drop, and he will get it. Ends him with one final drop, goes for the 1-2-3, and Magic gets the victory, but not so fast, because the champion Kyrie Nixon did not forget who interrupted his opportunity at a match the week prior, and he gets the last laugh, laying Magic out. But the CrashOut Club nonsense is not over, because he issued a 1v2 handicap match against the remaining members of the CrashOut Club, and the GM said sure. So Nixon will be taking on not only the CKW Liberty champion in Rick Blade, who has not lost in 2 months, but Jerome Briggs, one half of the CKW Tag Team Champions. Again, a 1v2 handicap match. And if you're looking at this thinking that Kyrie's crazy, well, you're most likely right. But also, Kyrie handled himself pretty solid in this 1v2. But as you'd expect, Jerome and Rick Blade doing a great job using the advantage that they have of having one another and their chemistry. Even though they're not a part of the tag team, they are in the same faction. They do know one another's game. Kyrie Nixon, though, making sure to make his presence known as the inaugural CKW Liberty champion this season. He is laying it out on Rick Blade, but Rick Blade finding his groove, tagging in Jerome Briggs. Jerome Briggs has him over his shoulder as Rick Blade knees him in the face.
Trying to end this right now. Wait a second.
The ref, he's like, wait. But the match would continue on, and with Jerome Briggs checking back into the match, Kyrie Nixon goes on a bit of a run, escaping the 1 count, now going after Jerome Briggs, saved by Rick Blade. It was starting to look like Kyrie Nixon could possibly do the unthinkable.
Off the ropes, there's a reversal.
The crowd fully behind the CKW World Heavyweight Champion as he's looking to shock the world, but it would be too little too late as Jerome Briggs counters at the right time, dropping the champion, tagging in Rick Blade, for which Rick Blade now handles business on his own. I don't know, that might have been Kyrie's shot.
Oh, come on, enough is enough.
After a one last perk slam, 1, 2, 3, Rick Blade slashes any hopes of Kyrie Nixon shocking the world and getting this crazy 1v2 victory as the CrashOut Club looks strong again. Week 3 is upon us as the remaining members of Los Buenos, after the injury to Bailey, are going to be taking on Curtis King and the FRO together. Now, we know the one-on-one beef between FRO and El Flapjack Larry, but with a little bit of help from his own tag team partner in Curtis King, they look to inflict more damage in this 2v2. And when I tell you that it was an absolute one-sided matchup, that would be an understatement, because Curtis King and the FRO dealt more pain than Los Buenos was even prepared for, as the FRO gets his hands on El Flapjack Larry and the 1, 2, 3. And now Larry might be reconsidering his attacking of the FRO, but we'll get to more of that later, as for the first time in 2 seasons, we see these two former teammates in Dean McCarthy and Silas LaFlair, formerly known as Pretty Petty, as mentioned earlier, the longest reigning tag team champions in the history of this company, is officially no more, as they face off for the first time in 2 seasons. Silas LaFlair believing that Dean McCarthy was starting to lose his edge as he continued to lose match after match. Even with the help of Silas LaFlair since his return, it has equaled nothing for the former champion Dean McCarthy, as he still went on the worst slide and lost match after match. And now Silas LaFlair trying to take out the trash.
Wow, float over.
It would go back and forth, Silas LaFlair looking like the more dominant of the two, but there's a reason why Dean McCarthy was our inaugural champ of this new season, as he turns things around using all of the energy of the backstabbing from his old friend, hits him with a double stomp, goes for the 1, 2, 3, and Dean McCarthy strikes first in the first of what we expect to be many matches between these new rivals. And with one rivalry, we go to another as Kyrie Nixon goes to the stage, microphone in hand, and he has some words for the CKW crowd. But more importantly, he has something to say to his challenger, Magic. And he's done with all the games. He's done with the back and forth. He's ready to get this match going. The crowd is eating every word he has to say until
He has heard enough, and now he's out here to do things face to face.
in comes Magic. Magic has heard enough of what Kyrie Nixon has had to say, blabbering on about how he is the champion and he will stay champion. Magic has seen enough from behind the scenes. The CrashOut Club's time is now, and it ends with Magic getting the biggest prize in CKW. Jerome Briggs, Owen Dallas Tag Team Champions, Rick Blade, CKW Liberty Champion. All that's left is Magic to put Kyrie Nixon in the dirt. And Kyrie Nixon did not like the disrespect from Magic, hits him before he could even say anything else. And now we have a brawl for the third time between these two, ending with security escorting them both out. And this is going to be a doozy in the main event of week 4. But next up, we have another defense for Rick Blade, who has been the definition of a fighting champ since getting this belt, as he goes up against Victor Krueger, who earlier won the #1 contenders match and now gets his shot at the belt against Rick Blade, and he looked dominant to start. It seems like this has been the recipe to Rick Blade matches every time out, where the challenger looks like the dominant force. But it would not last long. Rick Blade, or Perk Blade as he is called behind the scenes, started to set it into gear. Rick Blade giving Victor Krueger more than he could handle in this one, as he gets him down.
Here we go.
And retains the belt that he just seems to can't let go of. The CrashOut Club are one belt away from owning all the gold in CKW, but can Magic finish the job? Week 4 of the first month, as we see the Dreams and Nightmares Syndicate taking on the CrashOut Club. Even though Victor Krueger could not ultimately get the job done for singles gold, he has an opportunity with his partner Havoc at taking out the CrashOut Club for tag team gold. But can they get the job done? The CrashOut Club as a tag team have been very, very good as of late, and this one might be no different. Havoc from the top rope, great tag team work between Victor Krueger and Havoc as they look to get some sort of gold, as the Dreams and Nightmare Syndicate have continued to get closer and closer, but just not able to finish the job. And this match unfortunately might go in that same direction, as Victor Krueger and Havoc looked powerful in this match. It would not last long. Jerome Briggs would find his groove, start laying out the attack between both Havoc and Victor Krueger, as Owen Dallas would then methodically get the right hits in, set them both up for big time finishers.
Think we know what we're looking for here, Byron. This is not going to be good. Oh.
And it would all be over with one final move by Jerome Briggs, as he gets the 1, 2, 3, and the CrashOut Club retain the tag belts again. But with that being done, we move on to another chapter looking to finish, as El Flapjack Larry gets his one-on-one against the FRO to end this story. El Flapjack Larry with huge accusations against the FRO, and Fro is not one to back down from a challenge. And even with all the heart that El Flapjack Larry could bring to this match, it would be a one-sided slaughter, as the FRO not keen to his name being used the way that El Flapjack Larry has been the last few weeks. He wastes no time taking out El Flapjack Larry, and in the same, El Flapjack Larry might have bitten off more than he could chew, as he suffers the same fate as Bailey. But not only does he lose the match, the FRO proceeds to injure him as well, and we will be without El Flapjack Larry here for some time in the near future, but the FRO will get the last laugh. But Silus and Flair moving on after taking a beating by Dean McCarthy in their first match of their rivalry, and Silus is trying to get himself in the picture for some singles gold. He's going up against Alexander the Great, who surprised the world winning his first match in the company, and now looking to get a second win against another all-time great in the company. But Silus and Flair was not going to make it easy for the newbie, Alexander the Great. He thought he had the opportunity. He thought it was all but over, but Silas Flair gets his groove back and gets the win. And Alexander Great back to the drawing board. But what's this? Dean McCarthy, the winner of the match between these two last week. He doesn't care about his solo win. He brings the kendo stick and issues a challenge to end this rivalry once and for all. And we will see that in the coming weeks. But before we could get there, a defense is on the line for the CKW World Heavyweight Championship. This has been 2 months in the making. Kyrie Nixon, Magic, the constant brawls behind the scenes, in front of the crowd, on TV, it doesn't matter. But now this one will be official. The two of them finally get the chance that they've been looking for, and that's the opportunity to end this rivalry once and for all. And the champion started off strong, but Magic would not disappoint as he continued to go to his crash out ways, looking to end this match quickly and in a hurry.
Measuring their opponent, little gut wrench.
But Kyrie Nixon, at the champion that he is, would not make it easy for him.
Wait a second.
But with one more counter, Magic gets Kyrie right where he wants him. Has him laid out, looking for the 1, 2, 3, and Magic will be the new CKW World Heavyweight Champion for a second time. But the question is, can he keep it? And more importantly, now the bigger statement is the CrashOut Club own all the gold. But with all that behind us, a new month begins with the FRO getting a match at an opportunity for singles gold as he takes on Ace Rodriguez in the newest #1 contenders match to be able to face off against Rick Blade for the CKW Liberty Championship. Ace Rodriguez on his own with both El Flapjack Larry and Bailey on the shelf, but that does not bother the FRO in the slightest, as once again in another squash, the big fella gets the dub over Ace Rodriguez, and he will be moving on to facing Rick Blade for the championship in week 3, as his tag team partner Curtis King is looking for an opportunity at the CKW World Heavyweight Championship. There's a chance that Terminus could take away singles gold away from the CrashOut Club, but there's one man in front of him, and that's an old friend of Curtis King's, as he sees his old Genesis team member from season 1, Game Hunter, who has been on a hot streak, and this battle of old friends would definitely entertain the masses. Curtis King going right after Game Hunter here early, as we remember that this is a shot at gold for the two of them. There's still no love lost between the two of them, even though there was plenty of disagreements before they got to this point. Game Hunter setting Curtis up into the corner, trying to weaken him and go for the win, but Curtis King is able to get out of it, dropping Game Hunter, gets to the top rope, hits him with the coup de grace, which lines him up to send Game Hunter on a royal flight. Dropping him, gets the 3 count, and Curtis King now prepared to go after the CKW World Heavyweight Championship, but not so fast. Another old friend in Owen Dallas interrupts the celebrations, letting him know that this will not be an easy route for him. But with one more Terminus member left, looking to get a big victory, Drip Messiah taking on Dean McCarthy. Dean McCarthy feeling great after jumping Silas Flair after his win last week, and now looking to get a victory here against a waning Drip Messiah, who just cannot seem to get things right in the winners column. But Drip Messiah finds his groove a little bit here in this match, hoping that the effects of the rivalry between Dean McCarthy and Silas Flair would help him out in this match. But Dean McCarthy was not worried. If anything, it only made him stronger. Dean McCarthy going for the submission here.
Unmitigated
as Drip escapes just in time. This match would end up all over the field, even out of bounds. Drip Messiah sees that the ref is going for a quick count here today, and he chooses to use that to his advantage. Dean McCarthy at an 8 count, looking to try to get back in the ring. Drip knocks him unconscious right back outside. We're at a 9, a 10, and with a count out win, Drip Messiah gets the win. He's not worried about how it's done. Next up, we have Silus Flair set for a 1v1 match against Adonis Galliano, but Dean McCarthy is going to interrupt before the match can even take place, and referee Otis calls the match off, and we have a brawl on our hands between these rivals. Dean McCarthy not happy about the loss and takes it out on Silus Flair, but Silus Flair finally will get the last laugh, and we know that this rivalry will end here in the next few weeks. But here we are with the FRO waiting for his first meeting with Rick Blade. They're going to have a conversation in the ring, but Rick Blade not looking to have any kind of conversations with the FRO. Instead, he sneaks up on Fro and Otis, having to cancel yet another match, but the brawl will continue. Rick Blade and the CrashOut Club always looking to make sure that the person in front of them will fear their wrath, and this is no different. Rick Blade taking out the much larger FRO, but Terminus would fight back as Curtis King interrupts and attacks Owen Dallas right before his one-on-one match coming up, and security this time prepared so they will not have any more canceled matches here going forward as they take Curtis King backstage. But the damage has been done as Kyrie Nixon looks to take advantage of this match against Owen Dallas as the Pillars are looking at a chance for the tag team championships here in a few weeks. But Owen Dallas would wake up from his slumber and find his groove, getting the victory over Kyrie Nixon. But all that's on Owen Dallas's mind is he can't believe the goal from Curtis King.
Who's here on the stage? Some trash talking underway.
Curtis King, after the win, never left. He was standing at the top of the ramp the entire time, and Owen Dallas takes that as a challenge. We've seen this happen several times in the last 2 months, and it seems that tempers are all over the place amongst all the wrestlers here in CKW, and this is no different as the brawl is on. Curtis King, Owen Dallas. Curtis is not afraid of what the CrashOut Club is going to try and throw at him, as he knows he has a big match against Magic for the belt here in the coming weeks. But before the big rivalry comes to an end between Silus Flair and Dean McCarthy, Silus gets the microphone and takes to the stage to address Dean McCarthy, calling him out, and Dean responds. Dean McCarthy saying that Silus is very bold to try and bring him out here on stage and not expect the two of them to get into a fight, but he's looking forward to their match next week. And Silus Flair said so is he, but he wants to up the stakes, and they're gonna make this a last man standing match. Dean McCarthy looks Silus in the eyes, accepts the challenge, and the stipulation has been set. But where one saga ends, another one continues, as Alexander the Great is looking to continue to make an imprint in the company as he gets a big victory against Havoc. But now it's main event time. After Curtis King has already gone after Owen Dallas, it's time for the enforcer, Jerome Briggs, to try and quiet the chirping by Curtis King before his championship match next week. And Jerome Briggs does a great job at trying to silence Curtis King, beating him up, winning the match, and Magic, with the icing on the cake, hits him with the belt.
The title right across the face. That was completely uncalled for, or was it?
But now an end to a rivalry must ensue. Silus Flair, Dean McCarthy, a story finally looking for its ending. Not the way that most would have expected, but here we are. Silus Flair joined by Uncle Ben yet again, hoping to be the edge in this match between these two. Now, if you'd ask me, Dean McCarthy has looked stronger of the two throughout the entirety of this rivalry, and I think he would be considered the favorite, as he is also the former champion, but has had Silas's number the last few matches. But Silas LaFlair never backing down from a challenge, not worried about what people on the outside would have to say, as Silas LaFlair is just absolutely manhandling Dean McCarthy. Remember, this is a last man standing match, so Silas LaFlair just needs to do the most damage possible to the point where Dean doesn't feel the need to get back up. On the 2 count, he thinks he has it done. He's celebrating at the top rope. Dean McCarthy quickly gets up and sends him outside the ring. Silas not a fan of that, getting him with another knee strike. It's a 6 count. Silas is celebrating. He thinks he's done. Right at the 8, Dean gets right back up, attacking Silas LaFlair and hits him with a low blow. Immediately after that, picks up the sledgehammer, dealing out some damage, hoping to keep Silas LaFlair down, but somehow, some way at the 7 count, he's back up. He attacks the gloating Dean McCarthy, and for one last time, gets him with the double knee. Dean McCarthy's not gonna get back up. 9-10, Silas LaFlair escapes with the win and the vindication that he was right all along, that Dean was the extra weight holding him down. But we're continuing here between the CrashOut Club and Terminus, as Magic and his enforcer Jerome Briggs will be taking on Drip Messiah and Curtis in a tornado tag team match a week before the championship match between Magic and Curtis King. And this match is just for mind games. Jerome Briggs doing exactly what he was brought out here to do, and that's inflict pain. But Curtis King and Drip Messiah, though we have not seen these two in a match together ever, they're doing a great job as a team here tonight until the final moment, where Jerome Briggs and Curtis King were going one-on-one. A counter from Jerome Briggs has him in a very unlucky situation, as Drip Messiah wasn't paying attention outside the ring, going for the steps, and it's too late. He gets in the ring, but it's already over, and Magic and Jerome Briggs get the win again for the CrashOut Club. Not looking good for Curtis King in his championship match next week. And those of you out there paying attention, wondering where was Fro in this battle, well, he's set for a championship match right now against the remaining CrashOut Club member, Rick Blade, looking to get his first singles gold title this season. Rick Blade, the FRO, you know that this match is going to deliver. This match is an Extreme Rules match, and it spills outside of the ring, where the FRO and Rick Blade would just go back and forth, issuing combos, one hit to the other with no end in sight. But eventually it ends up right back inside of the ring. The FRO, having Rick Blade in the corner, throws him to the top row and inflicting pain with a big boot to the face.
And this is
right now, the crowd is fully behind the FRO, as it's looking like this is all but over. But with a ladder on the canvas, Rick Blade drops him with a perk slam right on top of the ladder. But before he can go for the 1, 2, 3, Paparazzi has slipped into the ring yet again, and he gets an up-close flash right in the eyes of Rick Blade, giving Fro a chance to get back up and go for the attack. But it would be too little, too late, as Rick Blade is already in his mode, sending Fro outside of the ring, goes for the suicide dive, brings things right back inside the ring. One final perk slam. 1, 2, 3. Rick Blade retains his belt for the second time in 2 months, and it just seems that there might not be anybody ready to dethrone the CKW Liberty Champion. But here we are, the main event, week 4. Curtis King, Magic going at it for the CKW World Heavyweight Championship. Curtis pulling out all the stops, bringing out the entire group of Terminus to have his back in this big battle, as Magic brings out Owen Dallas and Rick Blade fresh off of a win. Owen Dallas has been constantly attacking Curtis for weeks on end, and we know the history between Rick Blade and the FRO. It's mind games when it comes to Magic and the CrashOut Club, and this match would be an Iron Man defense issued by the champion himself, Magic. And for those watching at home who don't understand an Iron Man match, the one with the most pins wins. And we have 15 minutes on the clock, and it's starting off as a Curtis King masterclass. Curtis is looking confident in this match, going for his first pin attempt here, and he won't get it as Magic survives the onslaught of moves. But staying down, Curtis King continues to apply pressure with move after move, going for the pin count one more time. Magic is able to get out of it again, but Curtis has him right where he wants him. Finisher after finisher, drops him one more time, going up to the top rope, hopefully to do enough damage to get his first pin count. 1, 2, 3. Point one for Curtis King, as it's 1-0 right now, but Magic is well aware of the stakes as he turns things around, and now he is issuing the punishment against Curtis King. Drop after drop, and a super punch right to the chin, dropping Curtis King. 1, 2, 3, it's tied up immediately. Magic now with a point of his own, but not happy with the speed of the count, goes off and takes out the referee. And now with the referee down and out, Magic and Curtis continue to go back and forth. Curtis going airborne, dropping Magic. He goes from the top rope, but the referee seems to be concussed after the blow, taking forever to get the first count, and Magic snaps out of it after a 1 count, turning things around. Swanton from the top rope. He's going for the pin, and now Magic is up 2-1 in this battle. There is 3 minutes and 30 seconds left. Is there a possibility that Curtis can get back-to-back pins here to become the new champion, or is this going to be over as Magic continues his reign in after his first defense? 3:05 remaining. Magic dropping Curtis King again, trying to get another point on the board, but Curtis survives it. Curtis off of the top rope, going for another coup de grace. This worked last time to get him a point. Will it this time? And it does. Curtis King now ties it up at 2. It's 2-2, 1:09 left. Curtis knows that he needs to go back-to-back while Magic is already tired and hurting, but Magic with the counter and continues to issue offense and goes for the big one here. Dropping Curtis King, getting a pin count here with 45 seconds left. The score is now 3-2. There's not much time, and Magic is well aware of that as he keeps his distance, keeps Curtis on the ground, and Magic retains the belt and continues his tyranny as champion. The CrashOut Club own all of the gold. And now everybody else in that locker room really needs to figure out how to take down the power of the CrashOut Club as they own it all. The question is, can it be done?